It can only be attributable to human error.
You're entering paranormal.
He meddled in things that you keep before. He meddled in
Slug.
things. He meddled in things.
Where will we go next? Just phantom from another time.
No one, Mr. Muller.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
That is one big pile of shit.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Cryptid Campfire. I'm your host, Eli Watson. Joining me today is a very special guest, Ryan Cavalline. How you doing today, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. So, Ryan, you are a pretty prolific film director who specializes in what I can tell, cryptozoological documentaries.
I've done a few of them.
Mm.
I've done other type of films as well. Just over the last probably 10 years or so, I got really into documentary stuff, which hit a lot of the crypto stuff, you know.
Right on. Yes, I saw some horror films on your filmography.
Well, you got to start at the bottom. Horror films are just the best way to get into filmmaking, I guess. Like a lot of distributors, they love any type of horror movie you can make. So that was my way in.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was actually surprised because you reached out to me about this interview, and when I went to research you, I discovered that I had a couple of your films already on my Amazon watch list, namely On the Yeti Trail and Wild Man: The Bigfoot Odyssey, which I have yet to watch. But
Well, you know, you got some good stuff to watch there. So
yeah, right on. And but today we're going to be discussing a lot about your latest film, Mountain Devil 2: The Search. Yes.
yes.
You want you
Well,
want to Can you
elaborate.
give us a little spiel about this? Or?
Sure. On Devil 2, The Search for Jane Clement was a film based on a book from 1976 called The Creature. It was about this guy who lived down in the Dunbar, Pennsylvania area, right through the Allegheny Mountains, and he had this encounters with this Bigfoot who became quite friends with him, which is a complete like 180 of all the Bigfoot stories out there. You never hear about them becoming friends in some sense. So the book was very popular back then, and it got a lot of hype in the Bigfoot communities, and a lot of people weren't sure, was it a real story or was it a hoax? And if you read it, it's very specific of Bigfoot behaviors. Like it's crazy how this guy wrote a story so well about the specific facts about a Bigfoot. Because back then we didn't have the internet. I mean, we had newspaper clippings, so we could have got a lot of information from them, but it was just so specific of Bigfoot behaviors that we know today that it was incredible. It's like, was this a true story or not? And it was always the big rumor mill among the Bigfoot groups, you know, did this really happen or not? So I just it's a great story. If you ever get to read the book itself, it's a great story. And I just really wanted to kind of dive in and find out, did this happen or not, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check the book out because I had actually never heard of it until I watched your film earlier today, and I was definitely drawn in by the whole mystery of it. So I want to know because you leave it quite open. I don't know if this was a spoiler or not. By the way, check out the film on Amazon Prime. It's available to rent for, I believe, $3.99, or you can purchase it for $9.99. I mean, go check it out, like right now. Pause the interview, check it out. And then,
Yes, do it right now. No.
yeah. But I want to know, because you don't really say one way or another what you personally think about it. Do you think Jan Clement, whoever this person was telling the truth about this, or is it just a fictional book or a hoax or something like that?
I'm still really on the fence with the whole thing. That, you know, the more interviews we did and the more research we did, I got more questions. I'm like,
Mm.
wow, it could go this way, this way. The one thing that stuck out that I thought was fascinating is that this guy knew the Dunbar Chestnut Ridge area to a T, and he knew he had stuff in the writings that just you almost have to live down there to really understand it or understand the area. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And for someone to write that, it's just very difficult unless you lived it. So I did extensive interviews with Steve Coles, who's a Bigfoot researcher out of New York, and he did a lot of investigation into the book itself, and he's in the film. And even he was surprised. Even the maps that he found in the geographic areas, like it all hit home that this could have happened. Like the areas are specific that this guy was telling the truth about the areas. Did it happen with the Bigfoot? Oh boy, I'm still 50-50 on it. You know, I'm one of those, I'm a hopeful believer. If you follow me, I'm hopeful it's possible until I ever like really see a Bigfoot. I have to see one to totally believe it, but I'm hopeful it is possible. So I'm hopeful that the book is true, you know. So I never got a specific answer to really kind of give it up in the film, like this is the person that wrote it or anything like that. I mean, we kind of lean towards a certain direction, but for the respect of the Allegheny publisher, John Tomeko, who was the publisher, I just kind of wanted to leave it where it was because he had actually passed away during the making of the film. And we just kind of wanted to just leave it like that just because of respect for John.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is very unfortunate about learning about that at the end of the movie that he passed away.
Mm-hmm. We actually had even Dave Dragusin, who was in the movie, he passed away a month before the film was ready to release. So we actually lost two people during the filming. That they were like super great to be in the film, and they were excited about the film, and they just never got to see the finished film, which it saddens me because we worked so hard on it, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I did want to ask though. This is Mountain Devil 2, and so Mountain Devil 1. I'm not entirely. I didn't have an opportunity to watch it quite yet, but does it focus more on the Jan Clement character, or is it a different story, or?
It's actually a completely different story.
Oh.
I started shooting Mountain Devil 1 back in 2010, and it took almost 3 years to make. And at the time, back then, I wanted to do Mountain Devil 1 on the book, The Creature. Like I did. I did a lot of research, and I reached out to Allegheny Press. And at the time, we couldn't kind of agree on some things. So it just didn't happen. The moon and the stars didn't line up. So I had gotten with a lot of the Bigfoot groups out of Pennsylvania, and I just started filming them. I just started following around filming them for like 2 years, and it really became more or less like a Bigfoot 101. Like, what do these researchers do, and how do they do things, and what are they looking for? And while we were filming it, we came across this case called out of the Phillipsburg, Pennsylvania area, which was about these two hunters that had an encounter with a Bigfoot. And it became the Frank Peterson story, which is not the real guy's real name, but these guys had an incredible story. So we kind of ran with that, and they had an encounter at a cabin and shot at something they're not sure of, and to this day they say they buried something, and we don't know because the cabin's gone. When we talked to like all their family members, and they didn't really want to be in the film, but they were cool enough to kind of tell us the story and kind of let us kind of run with it. Because some of them were police officers and what have you, and they're like, this could affect my career. I don't want, I'll tell you the story, but leave my name out of it. So everyone's kind of got these false names in the film. But so it was kind of cool because it became like I said, like a Bigfoot 101 type of film. Like, this is what they do. This is what these groups do. And we have this like really cool story in there about these people that had an encounter at a cabin. So, and then fast forward 10 years later, we got to finally do Mountain Devil 2 based on the book, which was kind of like a big circle.
Yeah, right on. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And you have some pretty big heavy hitters in Mountain Devil 2. I mean, Terry and Brian Seach, Lauren Coleman, Stan Gordon, the guys from Cryptovania, just to even name a few of the people who show up in there.
Oh, yeah. We got a great group of people in the film. And even in the first film, we got Stan Gordon and Eric Allman and Brian and Terry are in the first one. Just it's cool because everyone in the Bigfoot community want to help. and like they'll throw in their 2 cents about any story that's out there, any projects. They're always willing to help. And that was the first time we had the Cryptovinia guys on, which was great because those guys are like I'd say they're on. Like I said in the film, they are on the cutting edge of finding out whether or not there's a Bigfoot or not because they are hardcore Bigfooters, and I could spend like one film on them just out and about. They're just great guys.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can really tell that they're very knowledgeable about them. Because I'll be honest. Other listeners don't attack me, but I actually haven't listened to their podcast yet. So,
They shoot
uh,
them out right and left, so I mean I can't even keep up with them. But yeah, they do
yeah,
pretty good stuff. Yeah.
for sure. I mean, I guess it's because I run a podcast of my own that I don't really listen to podcasts. So, yeah, it's just
Just
like,
your own. It's okay.
yeah. Uh, oh, and you had a pretty cool looking Bigfoot suit for the recreations of in Mountain Devil 2. Was that a carryover from a previous film, or did you have that specially made for Mountain Devil 2?
Well, when we do our films, we're broke.
Mhm.
We're beyond broke, but we have enough funds to kind of put some stuff together. And I got in contact with this artist that's escaping my name offhand, but he did Bigfoot heads. So I said, hey, can you make me a really aged Bigfoot? And he's like, yeah. So he did that on the cheap. And I said, I thought, well, how are we going to do a Bigfoot costume? Because they can get very expensive. Even if you look online at any of the places that sell Bigfoot costumes, they're not cheap. So what we did was we got a very cheap Bigfoot outfit, and I had a very awesome seamstress, someone who
Mhm.
could sew in everything for me. So it really came out looking like a Wookiee costume, but it worked for what we needed to do. So we saved a bunch of money doing that. I don't want to sound cheap, but like when we're doing this stuff, it could get very expensive. So we try to keep it on reasonable, but yet believable, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and I think it looks really well. I mean, not everyone can afford to recreate Harry from Harry and the Hendersons, right? And
Well,
you know.
if you rent like any type of costumes like that out of Hollywood, like you're renting the costume, but you have to rent out the makeup artist. They come with the costume,
Oof.
and that's like double billing, and it could easily run 5 grand a day for a costume.
Ah,
Yeah,
no way.
yeah. So it's like, yeah, we'll figure out our own thing. Actually, the first costume I had made for Mountain Devil, I had a student from Tom Savini School. Uh, I got a hold of him. The kid's like, "Yeah, I can make you one for about $800," and he got it done. I can't say it was the greatest thing on earth, but it fit the role for the first film. But it kind of fell apart after a while. But
Mm.
when you shoot low budget films, you just gotta be creative.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think the first Star Wars film was considered pretty low budget, right?
Now imagine.
Yeah. So, but what got you into Bigfoot and I guess cryptozoology in general?
Uh, well, previously I wasn't making a lot of horror movies, like I mentioned, just because distributors would pick those up real quick, and I just kind of got tired of it. I'm like, this is boring. We need to do something else. I'm like, let's make a monster movie. I'm like,
Mm.
well, what monster movie? What would be a good character that no one's really done? And this is back in 2009. I said, Bigfoot. No one's really done Bigfoot. And at the time, I thought Bigfoot was just a West Coast thing up by you. And here to find out, Bigfoot's all over the place, and he's like pretty heavily invaded Pennsylvania. And I wasn't aware of this until I started talking to a lot of these Bigfoot groups. So one thing just led to another, and I just got hooked on it myself. And I'm like, this is awesome. This is fun. So we just started shooting, and I haven't stopped with the Bigfoot stuff yet. We actually were talking about doing a Mon Devil 3. I need to take a break first, but I mean, at some point, it's just it's great stuff, and people love it. So I just keep doing what people like.
Oh, absolutely. And if you're having fun doing it, that's an extra plus, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, I also noticed, I wanted to ask you, you have a Finding Bigfoot credit to your name? Is that correct? The
I,
the the television series?
no, not until I was in a film called I've Seen Bigfoot.
Oh, I
I
don't
have a
know.
credit for that. I don't
I
know.
guess there's like two Ryan Cavallines, I think.
You know, when that stuff hits the internet, stuff gets jumbled around. Who knows? You know.
For sure, for
You know.
sure. Maybe they talk about you. I don't know.
I hope in a good sense, and not a bad.
Do you have a favorite cryptid?
Not really. uh, you know, I dig the Bigfoot stuff. I mean, that's the just because that stuff's in my backyard, and we
Oh,
had
absolutely.
and like the coolest part is like when we were making all those films, um, like I said, I'm a hopeful believer. Until I see something, I'll never believe it. But
Mm.
I've never seen anything. But I've experienced stuff with these guys. I'm like, I can't explain to this day. Uh, we were shooting the first one. We were out in the middle of nowhere, like 2 in the morning, and we were in an open field area, and we kept hearing these things going over our head, and here they were rocks being thrown at us, like you could hear them going right over our head. And
Whoa.
at 2 in the morning, and you could hear when we were getting the wood knockings about 50 yards away, and you could
Mm.
hear this thing kind of walking across the ridge of the mountain right in front of us, and the thing tripped, like it tripped over a log or something, and slowly it disappeared, and we didn't have any more wood knockings. So that was like the first time I'm like, there's something to this, you know. And the second time was again rocks being thrown at us, and they weren't like just coming out of the sky; they were coming through the trees, like you could hear them coming and
Oof.
hitting trees and hitting stuff, and they were aimed right at us. And where we were at, we're out in the middle of nowhere. There's no people. There's you can't explain it, and it I was like halfway there of being a true believer, but I'm like, still, I got to see it. You know, I got to see it to know what it is. So,
Mm.
um, but it's crazy. And we had those experiences, and I'm like, yeah, I just got more hooked on it. You know?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I didn't have any quite experiences when I visited Oregon for the first time last year, but I mean, that was my first time going to the Pacific Northwest and just seeing how dense the forest is out there. I mean, it's
Yeah.
truly a rainforest that just isn't like hot and humid all the time. It's
Right.
you know,
Right.
it's just so dense like in at night, man. It just gets so dark. Like something could be standing right in front of you and you'd never see it
Yeah.
just because it's just pitch black, you know? But
I have that argument with people all the time. They're like, well, why hasn't any hunters ever seen one, or why isn't I'm like, people don't understand how big the forest is. Like
yeah.
especially in Pennsylvania, the Allegheny Forest is huge. And like most hunters only go a mile, 2 to 5 miles into the woods. It's not really far.
Mm.
You still got a big, huge area where some could be living in there and never see a human being.
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
especially the forest in your area. It's just it's it's huge.
It's huge. I mean, you're talking about an area that reaches from Northern California to Alaska.
Yeah. If something didn't
There's
want to be seen, they don't have to
yeah,
be seen.
right. It's like, uh, but I've actually had a couple of filmmakers on here recently, Seth Breedlove and Jason Hewlett up in British Columbia. And now I have you. I just can't. I'm on this filmmaker train and I can't get rid of you guys. So, uh, what was the movie that got you into movies, or you know?
I just always loved movies as a kid. I mean, I just loved them. I
Yeah,
was huge, huge like Bruce Campbell and Evil Dead movies. Oh man, I love that stuff. To this day I still watch that stuff.
right
And I
on.
just it's just I was always a horror movie buff and just wanted to do that. I wanted to make movies and I just never grew out of it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I I'm kind of in the same vein. I'm a filmmaker myself. Not sure if you knew that, but you know, have you seen Peter Jackson's King Kong?
I have not. No, I'm actually not
Oh,
a big fan of the King Kong movies. I don't know why. I know, I
no.
know, I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah,
No.
that and
Uh,
Godzilla. I'm like, I just can't get into them. I don't know why.
for sure. No, yeah. I mean, I'm not a huge Godzilla fan myself, but I don't know, something about a giant gorilla appealed to me as a little kid, but
Yeah,
as um, which I guess kind of goes hand in hand with the whole Bigfoot thing, and just kind of very logical next step, right?
right.
What
What's he gonna do with that little girl in his hand? Like what?
just squeeze, I guess. I
Squeeze. That's it.
don't. Yeah. Do you have any favorite film? I mean, I guess you said you're a horror movie buff. Let me ask you this then. This is a little trademark of our show. Uh, your 5 favorite monsters in any order. Just kind of the first that kind of come to your head. They don't not necessarily ranked or anything, but 5 favorite monsters.
Oh wow. Okay.
You know, this could be movies, could be cryptids, could be literature. Doesn't matter.
Well, I gotta start with Grandma in the basement of Evil Dead too.
Mm.
Grandma. I was always huge, Jason Voorhees, so Jason's up there.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Actually, Pinhead. I think that franchise could have been wonderful, but it just kind of tanked out. Clyde Barker just needs to come back and take over.
Well,
Uh,
please educate me on this. What is Pinhead?
the Hellraiser movies.
Oh, Hellraiser, but I
Yeah,
haven't seen them.
you've never seen a Hellraiser movie? Oh my dear friend, please put that on your Amazon list just to watch
I,
one. Oh,
I
they're
will.
great.
I will.
Yeah. Bigfoot's up there, and oh man, I like them all. That's the problem. Uh, uh, Mothman. I really dig the Mothman stuff. Yeah, I had to
Right
think.
on.
So I think that's 5. But yeah. I don't know. I eat any of it really. I just eat, sleep, and breathe the weird,
Oh, that's awesome.
the
Yeah.
creatures of the night.
Yeah, right on. Do you have any dream films in mind that you would want to make?
I have a whole slew of scripts I've written, so I'd love to do probably all of them. But actually, next year we're in talks with a pretty cool group to possibly do more like a mockumentary. This isn't crypto related, but I mean like about Al Capone and the Elliot Ness groups.
Mm.
Um, Actually, Elliot Ness retired not too far from where I live.
Oh,
I never
sick.
knew that. So there's a whole backstory about him after he retired, which I find fascinating. And I know it's not crypto related, but I mean it's a film that it's gangster related, which that's my other favorite genre is just the gangster films. I never got to tackle one, and I'm like, that's kind of my golden ticket to try it, and just see if I can do it or not. So,
Oh, absolutely. I
as a
mean,
filmmaker, you got to stretch your boundaries. You can't, you get stuck in the same spot. You're not growing. You got to change it up, and that's why I feel. I don't want to say this in a bad way, but you got other filmmakers that will repeatedly do the same type of films. Like I don't want to do a whole series of Bigfoot films. No offense, I
hmm
don't want to do it. I want to do different things. I want to try different things. I want to, experiment with different storylines and stuff. But if you start just doing the same thing over and over, it's boring. You're not growing as a filmmaker. You gotta stretch your legs and try different things and watch other films and try other genres. You might actually be the greatest thing in a romance film, but you've never known to try one, right? Not that I
Oh,
want to try
absolutely.
one right now, but I so next year hopefully this gangster flick will get done.
Oh, wonderful. And that's
Yeah.
actually a really good mental state for a filmmaker. I think a little too many people settle into one kind of genre, like you're saying, and just kind of that, they settle, I guess, they
Yeah,
don't.
yeah. They just I guess it's easy for them, or that's all they know. I don't know.
I don't. I
Maybe I'm
don't know.
prejudiced about it. I don't know.
And plus, living in Pennsylvania and talking about Al Capone, right? You said Al Capone.
Yeah, Al Capone.
Yeah. Just dealing with like Prohibition era, and
Mhm.
just I mean, my own family's from Kentucky, and I think my great grandfather was involved with bootlegging back in the day, so all that stuff just kind of interests me. So,
Oh
uh,
yeah. I mean, you got um, like I said, you just got to stretch your legs for other stuff, and like the whole anything gangster related. I love that stuff. The Goodfellas, Casino, Scarface. I'm Italian, so it's in my blood. I gotta do a little gangster flick at some point, right?
yeah, right
Or
on.
my grandma or my father might not be happy with me. You got to do a gangster movie, Ryan. So
Right on. You live right there close to the Chestnut Ridge, huh?
yeah, I'm about 2 hours from there. Yeah.
Oh, 2 hours. I guess that's not too close, but
Oh, we're
uh,
down there constantly though. Yeah, when
oh
we were
yeah, for
yeah, when we
sure.
were filming, we were down there quite a bit.
There's a whole plethora of strange things going on there, Not just Bigfoot, but I mean UFO activity happening, and I'm not sure what else. I'm sure there's all sorts of paranormal stuff happening.
Quite a
Um,
bit.
yeah,
Actually, we said, if we do another Mountain Devil, we might just do it just on the Chestnut Ridge, just because of so much activity, so many stories. I mean, you can make a whole film right on that.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess a little bit more of a personal question, but where do you fall on that and the whole paranormal thing? Are you still a hopeful believer with
I'm
that?
I'm flesh and blood. It has to be flesh. I really don't go into the whole paranormal world of it's interdimensional. I mean, it's great theories, but I just don't. I don't know. I think it's
Sure.
flesh and blood, and I think it's been here a lot longer than we have. So, yeah, I can't grasp the whole interdimensional thing.
Oh.
I've tried so many times. I don't know. I do believe in aliens a lot more. I think they're out there. There's no doubt about that. But
Mm.
Bigfoot and aliens, I don't know. I just can't buy it.
Right on. I will say you do make some compelling Bigfoot films, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you, man.
yeah, 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 absolutely. I mean, I was not bored watching Mountain Devil 2. I can say that very honestly.
Thanks,
So,
man. Thanks.
uh,
It's tough to try to like be a documentary maker, but yet entertain. Try to find that grab
yeah.
the audience in some sense.
Yes, I feel like the gold standard for documentaries is Ken Burns, just straight facts. And it's almost like you're watching a history book, and
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're like, all right.
That eight
Uh,
track just keeps going.
yeah, so you don't do that. It's very interesting. I really enjoyed how you were cutting back and forth between, interviews with Lauren Coleman or Stan Gordon, and then back to snippets from the book and the recreations, and just kind of filling in, and for me, not having even have heard of this story yet, and this being my only knowledge of it, I felt like I had an idea of the way the story went. So
And
I think that.
there was a lot from the book I cut out. I mean, there's a lot I didn't get to
Oh, I'm
just for
sure.
time's sake, and people's imaginations of what that would really look like. I couldn't put it together like how to put that on film. So
Right.
I picked the sweet spots in the movie that I thought we could move it along quick enough, but yet have some emotional tie throughout and build up.
Yeah. And speaking of King Kong, the Bigfoot in Jan Clement's account is named Kong.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, yeah. In the book, he named him Kong, which is kind of
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, that is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Uh, oh, you also have these wonderful animations that show up several times throughout the film, and I guess I just wanted to ask you a little bit about that and how that came about in terms of not just sticking solely to live action recreations, but also doing some animated ones as well.
Well, there was a couple scenes where I knew we couldn't really do live action for it. I mean, we could have, but it would have been very difficult to do. Like the deer scene and
Mm.
the whole ending itself, like the whole when Kong, I don't want to give it away, but and
Yeah.
what's he do with the body and what have you. I just kind of wanted to do a little bit of live action with the animation, and I really actually hate 3D animation, a lot of it, and like 2D just didn't do it. But then I ran across this kid Rat Doll. He goes by, and he had some fascinating stuff. I'm like, this stuff's great, and he's like, so I sent him some storyboards I did. He's like, I can do that, and he made them and sent them to me, and I'm like, this is great. It's not your typical cartoon you would see. It's still 2D, but it works. And I think just his style fit what I wanted to portray, and I think it just added value to the scenes and to the film. He just did a great job.
Oh, absolutely. I think it really does add to the scene. Like you said, the deer scene definitely would have been difficult to recreate live action.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's like let's find a deer, we're gonna chase it and somehow kill it, and
yeah, yeah.
it's
No,
just not gonna happen. So, And that's the
Yeah.
nice thing about like filmmaking and documentary stuff. You can, I don't want to say cheat, but you can find other ways to portray what you're saying on a cheaper end, you know. So
Oh,
never
for
cut
sure.
yourself short. I mean, you know, if there's something you want to do, there's a way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How long have you been making movies?
Oh, since high school. So
Oh, wild. Yeah.
I signed my first film in probably 2000 to a distributioner. Yeah.
Oh, wild. That's awesome, man. And you've just been doing it ever since, huh?
Ever since, I mean, we've been gracious enough that the money we put into a film, you know, we're able to make enough off a film to put it back into another film. It's like a vicious cycle.
Mm.
I never get ahead. None of us get ahead. None of us get paid. But you know, we make enough money off of them that hey, we have enough to go make another film. So we've been doing that for years, and I never GoFundMe. I never do anything with my credit card. I just whatever we make off them, we put back in the next film.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's awesome, man. Yeah. I mean, if you love what you do, man, you'll never work a day in your life. That's what they say, right?
that's right.
Yeah.
I still have to have a regular job though, so I haven't made it to that plateau. But we're
For
working
sure.
on it, right? Got to
Right.
work on it every day. Keep grinding.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Are there any particular locations you would like to explore? Like you said, you would like to try your hand at a gangster film. You know, you obviously made the switch from horror to kind of like Bigfoot documentaries. Is there like any kind of locations that you would particularly like to explore in a film that you haven't had the chance to yet, or?
Uh, I've never taken over a street corner yet, and that's kind of one of my goals for next year is to take over a street and be able to film. You know, I
Sick.
mean, most of the time when we film, like there's small locations, we get them for a weekend, it's here or there, but I've never been able to take over a whole like city block and just kind of be like, hey, it's shut down, we're filming. But hopefully next year we can do that.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah.
I mean, it's not really a location. It's just, I guess,
But
the ideas of filmmaking. Like, oh, I'd love to do that one time. You know what I mean?
oh, for sure. I would love to do that as well, but I don't have anything that calls for that yet.
You
Or the
you
fundage to
will.
do that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the footage is always the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Get to know some rich doctors and lawyers and just, you know, hey, how do you feel about Bigfoot?
Yeah, right.
Do you want
Right.
to invest in a film, you know? And it's surprising. There's guys out there that will invest in this stuff. It's just I just don't. To me, it's like doing another production. You got to put all that together to go kind of present and ask people for money. It's just it's too. I just don't. I don't have
Mm,
the energy to do it.
mm. Oh, you seem to have a sort of kindred with the Bigfoot community as a whole. Like you said, they all seem to be willing to help you out on the
Yeah.
project. Is that something? How did that come about?
Uh back when I was doing Mountain Devil One, I just kind of reached out to all the Bigfoot groups in Pennsylvania, and one group got back to me, and his name was Denny Calise. And one, it was in April, and it was a bad winter, and I got a hold of the guy, and he's like, "Listen, I'm coming up by you. There's Bigfoot sightings up where you live." I said, "Okay, great." So he comes up, and it was April, and we had like a half a blizzard for some reason. And he shows up, and I met Denny, and I thought I was gonna die that day because Denny looks like a roadie from a rock band. You know, he just right smoking series, like, "Get in the Bronco, we're going." So and I had my buddy with me, and we were filming, and I said, "I don't think we're gonna come back. I think this guy's gonna stab us to death out here in the middle of nowhere." So, but he had his wife Colleen with him, and I thought, oh, we're safe, unless she's into stabbing people. I don't know. So, you know, I met him, and they're the sweetest people ever. And to this day, we're best friends. And he actually opened up the world to me of Bigfoot. Like he knew everyone. He introduced me to everyone. He's like, you gotta know this kid. He's making Bigfoot film. You got to talk to him. So like he opened the door, the floodgate to everyone. Like
Mm.
everyone. So I mean, I really owe it to him how far we got so quickly. Because without him, I would have never probably met everyone that quickly. But
Oh,
yeah, he led us the way into, you know, and like I said, to this day, we're all good friends. So I always tease him that he's probably still going to stab me sometime out in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, that's really how I got to know everyone, and then we all just stayed friends,
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. That was one of the biggest things, one of the biggest takeaways that I had from the Oregon Bigfoot Festival last year was just how nice the Bigfoot community is.
Yes.
I didn't, living in LA and trying to be a filmmaker like all 10 million other people who live there. It's all very cutthroat, and going to the Oregon Bigfoot Festival, it wasn't a competition. Everyone's like, we just think Bigfoot's out there, bro. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay. It was a different vibe. And, I'm still friends with a lot of people that I met that day. And just, uh, like you said, you just meet one person, it just kind of opens the floodgates. And, I'm still meeting people almost every week. It seems like I'm talking to someone new on the show and
Yeah.
becoming new friends, with them. And so, it's really nice, really great.
Especially if whatever you're filming, that's the best way. Just do those festivals, go and talk to people, and they're all just want to talk. They're like you said, they're not going to stab you in the back. They're very great people. It's not like the Hollywood film festivals where everyone's out for themselves.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even you're kind of an inspiration to me because you said you live in Pennsylvania, and that's obviously the other side of the country than Hollywood, and you're out here making films. I know you said you had another job, but uh, I mean, geez, I had your movies on my Amazon watch list already. It's like that speaks, uh, to your success.
Or at least someone's watching them. Yeah,
Yeah.
originally I went to film school, and I didn't graduate with a film degree because
Mm,
I grew up through that time frame of the Robert Rodriguez's and the Kevin Smiths, and they're all like, "Why are you wasting money on film school? Go make movies. That's the only way
yeah.
you're going to grow." And today I still kind of stick with their motto is like, yeah, just keep making them, keep making them, and get them out there. It's the only way to go, really. I mean, I know it's tough, and it's not one of those hobbies that It's not like going to play golf for the day. It costs you $20.
Yeah.
This costs you a couple thousand sometimes, but you do what you love, and you'll figure it out.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So stick
So,
with it. Do what you got to do. You know,
thank you. Yeah.
you'll get there.
Uh, I've actually I'm gonna tell this story, but I'm not trying to flex on anyone here. But I've met Kevin Smith once, and I was working at a movie theater, pretty high profile theater in Los Angeles, over at Universal, and Kevin Smith kind of frequents that one quite a bit. And I'll never forget the first day he came in. I was at the concession at the popcorn stand, and he comes in, just kind of looks at the menu, and like I'm looking at him from behind, and he comes in with his famous jersey on. It says Smith on the back, and I'm like, is that Kevin Smith? And like he turns around, like as soon as I said that, and he looked directly at me, and I just kind of repeated it again. I was like, Kevin Smith, and he just reached out his hand, shook my hand. He was like, "Good to meet you, dude." And I was like, "What's happening right now?" He's like, "Where's the bar?" You know? So yeah, that was my interaction with Kevin Smith. But
At least you got to meet him. That's all.
yeah, yeah, right, right.
Or at least you didn't say like what's the saying in the boots or Jay always said it. Uh, I'm drawing a blank. Sorry. Smooch to the booch or whatever they say.
Oh, I don't remember.
I can't remember. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Back then, these guys were just doing it. They had no backings. They had no nothing.
Hmm.
Clerks was done on nothing. And, that stuff doesn't happen anymore. But I think nowadays you have a better chance of doing it with like distributing yourself. I mean, the doors are a lot more open than they were years ago.
Hmm.
There's just different avenues. I mean, you can be somewhat successful. It's hard work. Sometimes it hits and sometimes it doesn't. And it's just Troy Duffy's one of one of those people I admire too. He made the Boondock Saint movies,
Mm.
but he was another one. He came from nothing, just had a script, and he went and made a movie. You know, I mean, it didn't hit, but it underground it did, and he's made a living off the Boondock Saint movies.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
you go.
but he's a little crazy, so.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I want to ask you, how did you hear about us, me, I guess?
I heard your other podcast with Seth.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
funny.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm
right
like,
on.
well, and I said, well, we're kind of promoting Mountain Devil too. Why not? I'll talk to maybe maybe you want chit chat or something, which
Oh,
was cool, and you
absolutely.
did, so it worked out.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I know it took me like 3 days to respond to your first message. I like saw it, and then I like, it's one of those things where it marks it as read, so it's not notifying you anymore, and then
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
forget about it. And I was like, oh my goodness, this guy like reached out to me. I gotta respond. So my apologies for that.
Oh no, I appreciate you having me on the show. It's cool, man. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
absolutely. Oh, please share with us what we can look to. Oh yeah, Legend Hunters film, or what is it? No, it's Legend Hunters Films. Yes, tell me about that. That's your production company.
That's the name we run with. It's
Yeah.
it's it's built for films that are, you know, legends, folklore, anything creepy, just history in general. We just kind of went around. That's our formula. So right now I'm shooting a movie called Myths and Mutants, which is based on Pennsylvania folklore.
Mm.
There's a bunch of crazy folklore stories in Pennsylvania, like the Goblin of Easton. There was a goblin that was running around, albino cannibals out of
Whoa.
and the Straw Man, which was out of Potter County, the Mad Scarecrow. So a lot of it's like documentary, but it's got a little mockumentary stuff in there because I'm making it like a bad B movie.
Mm.
So it was my chance to go back to horror movies, but yet still keep it a documentary. You know what I mean? So yeah, we've been shooting our asses off at that. So hopefully, we'll have it out by next spring. But that's what we're shooting right now. And then, Mountain Devil 2 we just released, and that's on Amazon, Vimeo. DVD copies you can only get through us right now because I'm just cheap like that.
Right on. But
So
no, I mean it's definitely worth a purchase. Yeah, there's got to be a lot happening there. A lot of fun to work with from a filmmaker's perspective. Sounds like
yeah,
just
it's a
I'll
good time.
buy. Yeah, I mean the whole goblin thing. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like all these states have these crazy folklore stories no one ever hears about. So I'm like, I hate to see it die, go away.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm working on my own little series out here, Mysteries of Southern California. Um, there's like a bunch of weird stuff in Southern California that I had no idea about.
Yeah,
Like the lizard people of Los Angeles is one that I keep seeing is getting more popularity these days, but there's supposedly a big underground lizard people city underneath Los Angeles. And it's like, what? Like, no one
that's good
really talks
stuff.
about it. Yeah, it's
Well,
great.
that's
It's
great.
awesome. Yeah.
You definitely have to make that. The lizard
Oh,
people, definitely.
oh, I'm working on it, man. Uh, yeah, just all sorts of crazy stuff. I mean, and all sorts of UFO history. I mean, I don't know if you know about George Adamski. Um, big
Sounds familiar.
hoaxer. Yeah, he was a big hoaxer back in the 50s. He kind of hopped on the train of oh, the aliens took me away and took me to Mars and showed me the whole universe and wrote a couple books on it and very clearly just making this stuff to sell it. But,
Yeah.
back then it was more novel. He was kind of one of the first people to do it. But, I mean, that happened an hour away from where I lived. It's like,
That's cool.
yeah. So, like, and I mean, probably because he's a hoaxer, but I haven't seen anything on him. So, but,
That'd make a great documentary though, just about him and his life and why he did what he did.
oh, absolutely. I mean, it would be something interesting to do. Oh, man.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say something, but I totally forgot.
Got
Oh man.
Alzheimer's kicking in. It's okay.
Yeah. At 22. Oh wow,
Oh,
I'm
that's good,
22
man.
now. Yeah.
The nice
Um.
thing about Alzheimer's, you get to meet new people every day, so you're good, buddy.
Oh my. Yeah. Yeah, one of these days, maybe I'll get a chance to fly out your direction. I mean,
Absolutely, you're more than
yeah.
welcome. Anytime, anytime.
Oh, awesome, man. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to plug and tell us about?
Just on Devil Two's out. We're working on Myths and Mutants, and we have a lot of older films. We did a documentary on lost gold in Pennsylvania.
Oh, sick.
That was pretty cool. We did one called The Exorcism Prayer, which was out last year. Came out. That was the worst film ever to make for me.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, like I almost died. Well, I almost died. A couple of my partners, like they had health issues. One guy, Dave, he lost a finger.
Oh no, I'm
Just
sorry.
just any problems, anything you go through making a film, there was problems. Like you name it, we hit it, and it took forever. Like a lot of people said, well, you're doing a subject that doesn't want to be discussed. And we were actually warned by a lot of the priests, like, hey, it's great what you're doing, but be very careful what you're doing.
Hmm.
So I took it as yeah, whatever. But yeah, we had some serious problems. So if you're gonna do an exorcism documentary, be very careful.
Oh, I do not mess with that stuff. I live in a haunted house. I've seen some things, and that was my tolerance for the rest of my life. I think I've had
Yeah,
it. It's just like,
yeah. I've never hit the ghost stuff yet. And I don't know. I think I'm like that's the back burner.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. I mean, I don't think I personally would ever do one. It's not something I'm into.
Bad. It brings too many bad vibes back.
Yeah. I mean,
So
even going off of that, I mean, James Wan talked about some weird things happening while doing the first Conjuring movie, right?
yeah,
Just some weird things going on. I'm a big believer in that. It's just like that's why I don't want to do one. I
yeah.
don't want to invite.
All those movies like the Poltergeist, Exorcism, they all had said they had bad things happen. Just honest, probably I don't know. Maybe they scared themselves or whatever. But yeah, it brings negative energy. There's no doubt about it.
For sure, yeah. I think Bigfoot is a little less likely to follow you home. Uh,
Yeah, he's kind of a safe bet. He don't want to. He doesn't even want to be seen, let alone.
yeah, right, right.
So,
Oh, I was gonna ask you about you ever seen Legend of Boggy Creek?
oh yeah, several times. It's a
Oh yeah,
classic.
the new 4K remaster looks impeccable. I mean,
Oh really? I haven't seen
yeah.
that yet, but yeah.
Oh
It's such
yeah, I
it's
think
such a
you could.
classic.
And they actually went back and remastered the second one too.
I don't know why, but okay.
Yeah, I know. They didn't publicize it at all, but they do. It's there. It exists. So, uh, and Seth talked about Legend of Black Lake. You ever seen that one?
I've never seen that one, but I've heard of it. I just never.
Yeah, I got it on Amazon. It was like $5, and I still have yet to watch it. So, uh,
It was like it seems like there's this like huge explosion of Bigfoot movies from like 2013 on. Like it's just like seems like it's been flooded with Bigfoot movies, but it hasn't been a problem. People just love all of it. The
yeah,
good,
right.
the good, the bad, the ugly. Like people, I don't care. It's great. It's Bigfoot in it. It
Yeah,
never really gets a negative kickback. Like that's enough Bigfoot. No, people, the Bigfoot people love their Bigfoot.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
Oh, here's I guess a little bit of a random question, but where do you fall on those old Universal flicks? Creature from the Black Lagoon, Wolfman,
Uh,
Frankenstein.
love all that stuff. That's it was the cheesy classics.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
actually like the other stuff, like the bad B movies from back then, like any of the like war bad
Oh.
B movie stuff, where you see the string and see the UFO go by. That was good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. I mean, I have a big collection. I think a couple years back, I got a big 30 film set of the Universal movies, and
Yeah,
I've just been slowly going through them all.
it's the only way to do it with that stuff. Is
Yeah, I know. I know. I
do I
mean, they're
need
only
this?
like an hour 15, but like, man, do they really feel like an hour and 15 minutes sometimes? Yeah.
We're so used to movies being so fast and so much information real fast, but back then it was slow and steady.
I
you
mean,
know?
yeah, but like sometimes old movies will surprise you like that. I mean, I was very surprised by the pacing of Bride of Frankenstein. I thought that one kind of built off the tension of the first Frankenstein very well. Or I just recently watched High Noon, the
Okay.
Western with Gary
Mm,
Cooper. That one,
yeah.
I think it's 1952, but it's almost all like real time.
Yeah.
They have like an hour before the big duel happens at the end, and you pause the movie, and it's like an hour left till the end of the film. You're like, is this gonna go down right now? It's like, and it does. It's so exciting, you know?
Especially from a filmmaker's point of view, learning like watching old movies like that, you learn so much if you just keep an eye on like how they did stuff back then. Like them are things you can use today, and it's still effective. You know,
Oh,
especially
absolutely.
Hitchcock stuff. Hitchcock was unbelievable if you watch his techniques. You know.
Oh yeah. What's that one movie? He had a really early movie. My buddy got me a. See, I don't know why. I keep getting like big sets of old movies for my birthday, like every year. So I have
They
this
don't know what
big
to
like
get you.
yeah, yeah. So I have a big collection of all the films Hitchcock made with Universal, and I watched the very first one. I think it's like 1941, and it's called Saboteur. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Uh,
I've never seen that one. No.
classic crime flick where the hero gets framed for a crime he didn't commit, and
Hmm.
he's just kind of on the run. But there's a sequence where he like is running on the railroad tracks, and he gets stuck on this bridge, and there's a river below, and he's surrounded on both sides, and he just kind of looks down, and it's this big wide shot, and you're like, is he gonna do it? And he does. He just jumps, and you're like, what? And you're like, how did they do that back then? I don't know. It's like,
It's good stuff. It's good
yeah,
stuff. You know, people forget about that stuff.
oh yeah,
You know. But if you go back, just old films are great if you just give them a chance.
no, for sure,
You know.
yeah. And I don't know. It's nice seeing people like you or Seth Breedlove just kind of carrying on the let's figure this out, you know. We don't have millions of dollars to just throw CGI at our problems, so
Yeah. Uh, CGI can look really bad. It can
oh,
be
it can.
overdone, and if you don't have the money to do it, you just don't do it.
Yeah, right. I mean, but there's like cases like, the original Jurassic Park where it's wonderfully done and just, totally adds to the story. Or I would even argue the first Transformers film, I think,
Right.
is pretty sick.
It's a beautiful piece of work, those films, because
Mm.
they didn't use a lot of CGI. It was just, puppets and what have you.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, but seeing things like a Bigfoot costume still show up in a movie
Yeah.
is a treat, you know.
I don't want to see a CGI Bigfoot. I just don't. It just doesn't look right. It almost looks like the first, the Star Wars 1, 2, and 3. It just doesn't look right to me. I don't know why.
Hmm. It just I think it's just the hair. I don't
Yeah.
think they've quite figured out how hair works yet.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really blame them. Hair's incredibly complex, you know.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
just kind of like water. I'm like really amazed what they're able to do with water CGI now. Just
Mm.
like Moana. Oh my.
Oh, it's come a
Great.
long ways. I mean, it looks great, some of the stuff, but it's not cheap.
Yeah, not at all. No.
No,
Uh,
no.
but
Well, even doing
well,
a little animation in Mountain Devil 2, just that little bit, it wasn't cheap, but it served a purpose, and we had to do it. So
yeah, and I mean it looks good. So it has a style to it that I think is
a little
uh
quirky. I call
yeah,
it the
yeah.
quirky animation because it's just, um, I don't know how to describe it. It's just, it's not your normal animation stuff, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, with that, I mean, everyone check out Mountain Devil 2. It's available on Amazon, like we've been saying multiple times throughout the episode. It's like a really fun watch, like seriously, and it's only like an hour 20, so I mean, it's not gonna take your whole night if you're on the fence about it. So, uh,
I
but
appreciate,
definitely,
yeah.
yeah, seriously, go check it out. And Hopefully we can get you back on the show when what was it? Myths and Mutants.
Yeah, Myths and Mutants.
When
Yeah.
that comes out, hopefully we can get you back on the show to discuss more about movies and just urban legends, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. I appreciate your time. Thanks for having me on, and this was fun. Yeah, we got to do this again sometime.
For sure. Well, thank you again, everyone. This has been Ryan Cavalline, and I'm your host, Eli Watson.
This podcast is a part of Straight Up Strange Productions. Discover more shows like this one at straightupstrange.com.